Hi, I'm Lisa Jackson. I grew up in church and I've always known that God loves me. When I was 7, I realized that Jesus' sacrifice was for me, and because I was sinful, I was in need of His salvation, and so I put my faith and trust in Him. I loved being at church and doing everything there. I did Bible studies, mission trips, ministries. I just loved working for the Lord and being around His people. In fact, my world revolved around church and the relationships I had there. When I was a senior in high school, I survived a mass shooting that took place at that church, and it turned my world upside down. I decided that the only thing in life that really mattered was relationships. My relationship with God, my family, and with everybody around me. And what made that more difficult was that I saw people that I loved connecting and building relationships really easily, and I struggled at it. And it was then that resentment started to creep in. Somewhere along the way, I came to believe that because God brought me through the shooting, I shouldn't struggle with hard things in life, because nothing could be as hard as what I went through. I believed that trusting God with my unmet expectations shouldn't be difficult, at least not in comparison. But as the years went on and more hard circumstances came up, I found myself getting angry at myself when I struggled to trust God in the new hard things. I had a promising job that turned out to be really disappointing. Friendships and relationships came and went, and the thing that I valued most just still seemed so hard for me. That core group of deep friendships that I wanted always seemed out of reach. I was single, and my hopes of having a family of my own seemed like they were slipping away. As the days went on, I started to let my circumstances dictate my joy. And because my circumstances weren't what I wanted them to be, I would often get frustrated and angry. And then I would get frustrated and angry that I was frustrated and angry because I shouldn't be angry. I should just have joy. I so desperately wanted the joy that I knew that I could have by trusting God, but I just wasn't experiencing it. I felt like I should be able to muscle through the hard things in life and just have joy in Jesus, but I couldn't. It wasn't until I was sitting in a room listening to someone teach about anger that I was finally able to admit to myself how angry I truly was. But even then, I couldn't fathom that God could change how I felt without changing at least some of my circumstances. Thankfully, our God is much bigger than anything I can fathom. I started attending Regeneration, our Tuesday night discipleship ministry. The program wasn't magical, but it did force me to face hard questions, live in deep accountability with others, and I had to look deeply, intentionally into my life and do hard work. It helped me get into the Word consistently and made space for the Lord to work in my life. It was during that season that I was finally able to start releasing some of that resentment and anger and trust God with the life I had instead of the life I thought I should have. God didn't change my circumstances, but He did change my joy. See, life after Regen was still really hard. I had some health battles that were hard. My living situation was hard. I was in a job where I get yelled at a lot and money was really tight. But it was then that God opened my eyes to see that He had me in a mission field. And slowly, through spending time with Him, being in His Word, having other believers hold me accountable, God replaced my anger with His joy. It still baffles me today that my joy truly no longer depends on my circumstances. If I was planning things on my own, my life today still doesn't look like anything I would have planned. I still don't have a family of my own. My health battles have actually gotten harder, and I'm no longer in a job where I get yelled at a lot, but work still has its challenges, and well, those deep friendships are still hard to come by. But God is faithful, and I have seen how He is consistently providing for me, and He was working through all of it. Life today will never be perfect this side of heaven, right? And so I'm choosing to look for God's leading, to celebrate what He's given me, which is a lot. It just may look different than what I thought it would be. And so I can walk through this life and whatever life the Lord gives me with His joy.